for you to talk about.
Well, except that you brought it up before, and I was in the middle.
But then I tried to get out of it by getting to Lonnie Walker. Now, Jay, go with Lonnie.
Hold on a second. It's not that I don't think he can do it, although it's improbable, or I'm rooting against it. I just want to see it. Like LeBron did it. It was incredible. And the Warriors are capable of doing it. It's not like they're incapable, but it will be very difficult. Now, go ahead, Jay. Tell me all about Lonnie Walker, the fourth quarter. That's his new nickname.
I just think it's a great example for people out there to always stay ready. Because before the trade line, right after the trade deadline, like he was out of the rotation. Like he was not engaged.
And right now the Lakers have great chances.
By the way, when teams go up 3-1, they win the series 95% of the time.
I figured it would be higher than that, right?
95. 264 teams have won it. 13 teams have actually came back from 3-1 deficits.
Well, LeBron was one of those teams in 2016 against Steph, and now Steph has a chance to repay the favor. Yes, Key. Key is frozen. I froze Key.
No, we just know you've been waiting all day to talk about Steph having to come back 3-1.
You misunderstand me.
Did you enjoy last night's game, Max?
Yeah.
How about you, Jay?
I loved it.
Did you? It was pretty good.
Yeah,
right?
it was a dope game.
And it was
dramatic.
You got everything out of it. You know, players came to play. The ones that was cold got hot. The ones that was hot got cold.
The role players on LA chipped in at critical times.
You mean the fourth quarter? All 15 points for Lonnie Walker?
Lonnie Walker, the fourth.
Hey, by the way, AD had 4 points in the second half, right? Yeah, like Lonnie Walker had 15 points in the fourth.
Lonnie Walker, the fourth quarter.
What we're not going to do, Jay and Max, you're not going to steal my thunder. That's what you're not going to do.
Why is that?
Because I discovered Lonnie Walker.
Oh, I see.
Okay, coming out of Reading, PA, 6'4", 200-pound guy.
He scouted him.
Me a lot of a receiver. You know, and having an opportunity to see him at Miami. And then when I was talking to Pop and Company down in San Antonio, they made the decision to take him as the 18th pick in the first round.
Bully ball him down on the block. I'm going to punish people down low. Like, that's what the offense is.
You know what, Jay? See, I don't think he's a shell of himself. I think he's a smart enough, savvy enough 30-year-old, 40-year-old veteran.
Yeah.
I'm going to call him 40.
He's close
40-year-old veteran that knows, like you said, picking spots. He knows they're smaller than me. There's nothing they can do. Why would I take a bad shot when I could just go down there with my big old shoulders and power through Steph? He bouncing to Steph. Every time he bounces to Steph, Steph go 2 feet. Bouncing to him again, 2 feet. Before you know it, as you know, as a defensive player, you look up, you're underneath the rim. It's too late at that point.
Yeah, a shell of himself wasn't a negative comment.
I didn't say it was.
The standard he set.
Yeah, the standard that LeBron James has. It's a different type of game. But, Key, I will say this, though. Even though AD didn't have a prolific fourth quarter, like, you know, we talked about there's multiple ways you can guard a pick and roll. Now, it's apparent that the volume of pick and roll that Golden State is running is way higher. Hence the reason why you see Klay Thompson struggle or Jordan Poole last night have a donut, right? Because now you move away from the continuity in offense and they become stagnant. They become more spot-up shooters, right? Which allows people to stay glued to them. You can stay ready. He's been in the gym. He stayed ready, working on his game. And all of a sudden, in the moment in which they need him, in which AD was tired because of what he brought to the table defensively, in the game which LeBron was missing a lot of shots and just literally playing bully ball, trying to punish people to get to the rim, this dude single-handedly, if he doesn't go for 15 points in the fourth quarter, the Lakers do not win the game. They don't win the game. And we're talking about Steph's triple-double in a very different way. It's going back to Golden State 2-2 instead of the Lakers being up 3-1.
Role players
the great thing about that, though, J2, is Darvin Ham realized and the coaching staff realized the fresh legs that this kid had. And when everybody else was tired in the fourth quarter and holding on to their the edge of their shorts and bending over, he was fresh legs. So he can go 6 or 9 from the field. He can knock down the free throws with no problem at all. He can play defense. You know, he can do all those sort of things because his legs is fresh.
Fresh legs is a big reason. Like, you see star players when they get gassed versus bench players on fresh legs. Bench players are like the stars, and the star players become like role players. So especially a guy who's well-rested like that and, as you said, stayed ready. It's so funny that LeBron is now being – you can't say carried, but the role.
No, he's a shell of himself.
Yes,
he's not
doing what he can, but whereas in the past he would drag a group kicking and screaming. Right now he's leaning on these guys and they're coming through for him.
Well, it's almost like him and AD. Their possessions where they're just, they're not doing anything impactful in the offensive end. Whereas D'Lo, Schroeder, Austin Reeves, last night Lonnie Walker, Austin pick apart, make plays happening. But you saw Steph, a high doses of Steph with the ball in his hand. So the way you guard pick and roll is, number one, you can have drop coverage, what you talked about. Number two, you can blitz the pick and roll. Or number three, you can switch it. The last possession of the game, or like the possession before last, AD switched the pick and roll. He did one hell of a job guarding Steph on an island, got him to settle for a one-legged step-back jumper in which he missed. Now, that switch allowed Draymond Green to get the rebound, and then he guarded him so well that he allowed Steph to take a shot like 5.5, 6 feet away from the three-point line, contested. Look at him with the arm out. That's a hell of a defensive presence to get Steph to settle for that, and you probably don't win the game unless AD has the ability to guard Steph on the island 2 possessions in a row.
Do you think that AD, because I've noticed this maximum defense on every possession. I have too much to do on the offensive side. I'm getting older. So he would hold that back for critical moments later in the season, in the playoffs, where in high leverage moments he'd be a really good defender, but otherwise his defense would slip. It was smart of LeBron to preserve himself. Do you think AD was... Post-Miami. Post-Miami, you saw his defense not as consistent because who could do that every possession for 20 years, right? Do you think there was some version of that from AD last night where he gave him what he could in the first half? It's back-to-back games. We call him EKG on this show because it goes up and down. And then he recognized, all right, I'm going to have to save myself for some high-leverage moments here in the second half of the game.
I mean, look, he played 43 minutes. Like we talked about like minutes restrictions for LeBron. Like both. What'd you say, Key?
I was laughing because you said he played 43 minutes. I was like, yeah, he went to the bench to sit down. He was like,
Memphis, you go for it in Game 5. You try to. All right, now we're going to be up 3-1. Now we're in a commanding lead of this series, and we have 3 more games to get one. Now I don't think this series is over. I think it's going to take one hell of a knockout punch to knock out the defending champion, especially when they're going back home. And think about it. Steph was overall, Steph was